right, welcome back everyone to Lakers Latest. I hope everyone had a good Tuesday, as good as it can be. I hope everyone had a good Tuesday. We are on Wednesday. We are smack dab in the middle of the week. Honestly, Wednesday is personally my least favorite day of the week. I feel like everyone's like Monday. Obviously, no one likes Monday. Thursday and Friday, everyone likes Tuesday. But like Wednesday, you're just like stuck in that middle. Like you're still 2 days away from like the weekend, and it's only 2 days into the week. So you're just smack dab in that middle. It's like no man's land. So Wednesday's the worst day of the week. You fight me on it. That's my opinion. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good first couple days. Let's hop right into it. So first thing on the docket today, we have Luka and LeBron. So Luka was interviewed. I honestly can't remember by who, but he was interviewed. And, they just asked him kind of questions, how's the summer going, and then they kind of specifically went into his relationship with LeBron. How does he like playing with him? Does he see him finishing his career as a Laker? Does he want to? How excited are they to try and contend for a championship this year? So I'm not going to go into the whole thing. I'm just going to take a couple snippets from that interview. Excuse me. So, Luka kind of just talks about, like, obviously having the chance. And also preface this by the fact that Luka's talked about kind of LeBron being his favorite player to watch growing up, or at least one of them. Like, you watch him all the time growing up. So there's obviously, that previous relationship where he's watched him, and so many people have LeBron being their favorite player, so it's not abnormal. But yeah, so there's that preface, and then he kind of just says, obviously, like this is one of the best basketball players ever. To answer the question, he's one of the top two basketball players ever, either one or two, depending on your opinion. But he's a top two player of all time. That he's completely right. The other one that I found interesting was that Luka and LeBron have maintained pretty much a strong a strong amount of communication throughout the summer. They've both been keeping in touch with each other about everything that's going on. Also, another snippet. I think we did hear this a couple weeks ago, but obviously LeBron was not at Luka's press conference after he signed the long-term extension with the Lakers. So many people like criticize him for that. It's just ridiculous. Like, he's LeBron James. He doesn't need to do that. He has more important things going on. But still good to hear that. He did go out of his way to FaceTime Luka and congratulate him on the extension. I'm sure Luka doesn't go too much further into it, but that's just good to see LeBron again going out of his way to congratulate Luka. LeBron knows he's probably only got one season at two at most of the Lakers, but probably one this final season is in a Laker uniform. So I think he knows that it's Luka's team now, and it's going to be Luka's team for the considerable future. So those to me were personally the few things that stood out about that. Luka kind of also talks about like he would love to win with no one else but LeBron. Talks about he would love to see LeBron retire as a Laker and finish his career with the Lakers. I think we all would. But obviously, certain things are up for interpretation. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this season plays out, especially with those two. But it's kind of clear to me, not just from that interview, but kind of from everything we've been hearing and we've been reading throughout the offseason, especially the past 2 months, is that, they really value their relationship. They understand how important their relationship is, especially on the court, to getting them wherever they could go. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Barring an insane trade before the regular season starts, that is, this team will go as far as Luka and LeBron can take them. Two best players on the team. Luka's a top 5 player in the NBA. LeBron's probably still top 15. Still know what he can bring to the table. It's at the end of the day, the Lakers will go as far as those two take them. But I think we're gonna really get a good glimpse of it in the coming weeks. Like, obviously, we won't be at training camp. I don't know. Maybe sometimes teams do an open training camp practice. I can't remember the Lakers doing that in the past couple of years. Maybe I missed it, but preseason's obviously going to be a good barometer of that. Now, Luka and LeBron aren't going to play a ton in preseason. They're not going to be playing their normal 30-plus minutes a night, but it'll be good to kind of get that initial idea of how they're playing together, especially versus how they were playing together near the end of last season. It's easy to remember, but the Luka trade is was the most random, crazy, wild trade in NBA history, and basically no one was expecting. I don't even know if LeBron was expecting it or if the Lakers told him. But obviously last year it was such a tumultuous thing that happened, and getting in. Luka did eventually get comfortable, but having a full off season will be really important in that. So, yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on in the coming weeks, especially as we get to the start of preseason. All right, next on the docket we have offseason. So there was a report out by Brett Siegel. He's an NBA reporter. I can't remember which news outlet. But basically, the report was that the Lakers are basically content with how their roster looks right now, and that they don't really plan on making any wholesale changes. Maybe like they'll add a vet minimum guy, but as far as trades are concerned, he said the league-wide widespread belief is that the Lakers are not going to make any trades. And that's interesting. I think obviously that says a lot about how they feel about the team, but I think also they understand how the current market looks. When we talk about trades for a player like Wiggins or Drew Holiday, or Aaron Nesmith, like that market right now is dry. Like the trade market's just dry right now. As the season goes along and we see how teams are doing and one team maybe becomes sellers or one becomes buyers, we'll have a much better idea of what players will be available to trade deadline and what type of caliber of players will be available to trade deadline. But as it currently constitutes, it seems like the Lakers are done. You look at their top three additions of the offseason would be Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton. Now, those are all impact players. Obviously, none of them are superstars. They all play their own role. But especially if you watch that Timberwolves series, I think each brings an element that the Lakers needed. Obviously, Ayton brings, post play. Smart is an elite all-class defender. LaRavia is a catch-and-shoot guy, really good shooter. So it's going to be interesting to see how those guys are deployed. And it'll be interesting just to see as the season goes along what type of more actual legitimate rumors are available of guys becoming available and maybe guys that the Lakers could look to target. But yeah, right now, basically, everything it's not just Siegel, everything we're seeing, kind of what you expect. Like I said, at this point in the season, there's not, maybe there'll be like a minor trade, but it's very rare you get a major trade. The Karl Anthony Towns, Julius Randle trade last year is the only major trade late in September I can remember in a very long time. So it's not surprising to hear that. I don't know necessarily if they're comfortable with their roster or they're just waiting for the trade market to reshape up after the offseason ends. So regardless, we'll see and we'll keep an eye on that. All right, next one. This I know trade rumors are pretty dry, but this is more just a guy that I think the Lakers and again he's not available right now. I don't think he is. But if he were to become available, I think the Lakers should do anything they could to get him. And that guy is Trey Murphy of the New Orleans Pelicans. Really good player, 4-year player. Next year, I believe, will be his 5th year. Basically, anything you want in a young player. Career averages 13.7 points, 4 rebounds, 45% from the field, 38% from 3, 2.4 threes made per game. Really good player, good rookie year, really solid year 2, year 3. But last year, even though he wasn't healthy the full year, he really took a jump in his production. He went 21 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 45% for the field, 36% from 3, and 3 made threes per game. He's a really good defender. He's a wing defender who can play both ends of the floor, and that is the prototype to any team wants a guy like that. And then when you add in the shooting, the evolved offensive game, he's a guy that could potentially take any team to the next level, especially when he's young. Just signed a contract extension, but he is a guy when you look at fit. I talked yesterday about obviously Giannis potentially, but there's so many different logistics of that to it being even possible. I talked about Nesmith, who I do think could be a very good fit for the Lakers. And we'll see. Talked about PJ Washington, who was probably going to sign a long-term extension with the Dallas Mavericks, so he probably won't be available. Now, again, Trey Murphy is not available right now, at least not that I've heard or seen. But the Pelicans aren't good. They're not going to be good anytime soon. So if it gets to the point where they were to put a guy with probably the most assets you would get back in Trey Murphy, even though Zion's the team's best player, but no one really wants to give up a legitimate amount of assets for Zion when they never know if he's going to be healthy. So Trey Murphy is the exact type of young, talented two-way player wing, specifically two-way wing, that you would want the Lakers to target. And again, he's not available now, but like if the Pelicans are just get off to a terrible start and they're really bad, like I mean, I don't know, man. You could say he's a part of their future, but you could also say what future do they have? Their team is an absolute mess. So he's just someone I want to keep an eye on as the season goes along because I do think it's possible he becomes available, and if he does, I think the Lakers should go very hard after him. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one, especially as we get closer to the trade deadline. But yeah. Last thing, and this is kind of branching off the second one. It was I believe the same report where the Lakers said they didn't expect to do anything else, make any trades, sign anyone legitimate this offseason. And then back off that, they said they want to see what their current roster can do, and then they specifically said they want to see what a full season of Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber can do. I mean, I feel like we know what they can do. Kleber's not a bad player. He's a good shooter. He has a role. I wouldn't say he's an elite role player. I'd say he's a role player, decent role player that's a little bit overpaid. But yeah, he's going to be a part of the rotation. I think maybe they're hoping that he can play really well in that shortened rotation role to the point where maybe he can be added in another trade in the distant future. But yeah, he could definitely get good. And as far as Gabe Vincent, I don't have much hope. I'm going to be honest. I'm a very big believer in the Heat voodoo magic that they have there. They just find guys. They have the Heat culture. They play ridiculously good in Miami, and then they go elsewhere, and they're just like a nobody. Like I'm just a believer in the Heat voodoo magic. It's just is what it is. Like I don't like Gabe Vincent. Yeah, he'll have some games, but is he ever gonna play like to the point where he was playing with Miami in the playoffs with those runs? Like no, he's just not. He's not gonna have 25 points on 7. I mean, yeah, sometimes he will, but that's like he's not gonna become this playoff clutch demon that he was in Miami. Like I just don't see it happening. He could provide some decent minutes for sure, but he's not going to be as good of a player as he was in Miami. So again, we'll see. Like I'm not surprised that they specifically mentioned those two guys, both veterans, both have a history of producing. So we'll see what happens. Again, I don't have much hope. I think they're definitely gonna have to make another big in-season trade. Not as crazy as the one last year for sure. But yeah, I do think they will eventually have to do that. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, training camp is now 2 weeks away. First preseason game is probably a little less than a month away, and it's for 27, so we're a little over a month and a half until regular season. So we'll keep an eye on everything. But until then, I'll catch you guys later. Everyone have a good one.